Welcome to the Fleet Geeks podcast. We're here to help develop fleet and transport professionals. Do you want to progress and develop your skills and knowledge? We promise to bring lively conversation and debate around interesting issues and keep you bang up to date with changes in our awesome industry. The Fleet Geeks are a community of professionals, and if you enjoy the podcast, why not join the discussion for free in the Fleet Geek community over on Facebook.
Trying to work out what left and right is to put my headphones on. That's what it is, folks.
literally, Mike's biting his tongue with his tongue out, looking at his fingers to see which one says
which
Ellen,
one
which
Ellen.
one.
Yeah, we got that.
Left and right. Cool. So we're here to talk about financial standing, and I guess this is part of one of the modules for the Transport Manager CPC qualifications. But let's talk a bit about financial standing, because I think it's an interesting concept, particularly. I hear a lot of challenge about it because so many vehicles these days are on contract maintenance.
Yes.
And is it really required? So let's start first of all with what is financial standing and how much is the financial standing. So, and it varies depending on operating license. So why is that? Why is it?
Why have we got? What is it? Why does the traffic commissioner need to see evidence that you have what they call financial standing? What does it do? It's not, a lot of people come into it initially thinking it's some sort of deposit scheme whereby you have to go and actually deposit pound notes on the traffic commissioner's desk and say, there you go, look after that for me until I need it. It's not a question of that. What the traffic commissioner is looking for is looking for you to have funds available to draw down on to meet your obligations when it comes to vehicle maintenance. So if you think about it, the things that you could possibly, if times are a bit tight, maybe, I don't know, you have a couple of clients that are not paying as quickly as they should, or you've had a few, expenses that you weren't expecting. If times are tight and cash flow is limited, you might consider not paying your drivers. Well, they're not going to turn up if you don't pay them. You might consider not paying your fuel bill. Well, good luck with that, because you can't get credit on fuel. The best you can hope for is to get a fuel card. Most fuel companies have 7-day, some even want money up front if you're getting a lot of fuel off them. So, that's not an option. So the other area that you could look to is maintenance. And if you're going to skip a little bit of maintenance because maybe, that inspection that's just about to become due, you might think, well, there's nothing wrong with that lorry. And I know every time it goes in for an inspection, it comes out with a big bill. I could skip that until next time. So what they want to be assured, what they need to see, is that you have something behind you, have some cash behind you, that you're not relying on that. Now, in accountancy terms, it's the company, the business's working capital. It's money that it's got on a day-to-day basis, available to it to draw down on at short notice without having to sell off a family silver. So that's what we look for. But of course, working capital would only be calculated on an existing business, a business that had been trading and had got a set of accounts where you could look at the balance sheet and see the working capital. So I guess the challenges around financial standing would be if that working capital doesn't meet the financial standings, and or on a new account, a new business, a new company wouldn't have those accounts, so they'd have to evidence financial standing in a different way. So it is challenging, Pete, though, for a smallish operator. It's challenging for a big operator, but for somebody starting off in life, having to buy a vehicle or lease a vehicle or whatever, it's difficult, isn't it, for them to meet that? What challenges do you see out there with the smaller operators?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a large amount of money to start with. So just sort of putting that out there from a restricted operator point of view, it's what, 3,100 for each initial
for the first vehicle,
and subsequent
vehicles.
Subsequent, by the way, but subsequent, it's a bit of an in-joke, and you have to listen to past episodes. Subsequent is it 1,700 for a restricted?
1,700, yes, yeah.
And then with a national and international, you're looking at 4,500 for an initial.
8,000 for the initial.
8,000 for the initial, and 4,500 for subsequent vehicles there. And if you're running authorised light goods vehicle, which is now the case.
Yes, of
1,600
course.
quid for the first one, or 800 for subsequent. Everyone's going to be saying subsequent now.
Yeah.
Subsequent
Vehicles.
light good vehicles. So potentially it's a significant sum of money. I'll do it on 11 vehicles because it's easy to calculate.
That is.
So that's 45 grand for 9 vehicles, for the first 10 vehicles.
I've got a calculator, Pete's done that in his
I'm
head.
doing it in my head. So 45 for the 10 vehicles, and then that 11th vehicle is another 8 grand, which makes 53 grand.
53,000
for 11 vehicles. It's a lot of dough, isn't it?
Yeah, that is, isn't it? And that's 11 vehicles. So and that's
prohibitive, isn't it? To have that level of cash just sat around.
And the other thing that probably grinds a few gears is that's actually on your authorised amount, not on your specified amount. So if you have, most operators will want to maintain a margin, the difference between the authorised and the specified, so that there's a little bit of wiggle room so that you can expand. You may not have these vehicles. They may be just theoretical vehicles, but if you've got them authorised on your licence, you need the financial standing to back it up. So that is a lot of money, isn't it? It is. It's a heck of a lot of money for what is not a massive operation. 11 vehicles.
Yeah. So I've got a few challenges with it, and I don't know the answer, and I don't know if there is an answer. But why do restricted operators need to have less financial standing?
Yeah.
And I understand the light goods vehicles because, strictly speaking, they're probably cheaper to repair. And less expensive parts and what have you. But, why? Essentially, a restricted operator could be running exactly the same bit of kit as a national operator.
I always...
And there's significant difference.
It is a big difference. And I always say to people on OLAC courses and the like that... you should never judge a restricted licence as being the poor relation, because it isn't. If I'm crossing the road as a punter, I'm out there crossing the road and I've got 2 trucks coming towards me, I don't give a flying hoot what operator's licence disc is in the window. I couldn't care less what colour operator's licence disc in the window. I just want that vehicle to be able to stop because it's not going to fall apart, and the brakes are going to work and the tyres are not going to burst. I want the driver to be qualified and not drunk and be able to see me, and I want the load to stay where it is on the vehicle. I'm not interested in what operator's licence is in the window.
Hi, it's Pete from Flagship Partners. We're really proud to sponsor the Fleet Geeks podcast. Flagship Partners offer a range of consultancy and training services to ensure that our customers remain compliant and have the best possible knowledge to be able to fulfill their work. If you're interested in support with any of our safety, HR or compliance services, or you want to train to be a transport manager or need driver CPC training, give us a call today.
So I've often wondered myself, to be fair, why the difference. The only rationale I can put on it is that for a standard national or a standard international licence, of course, you are carrying out the business of like a haulier. The service that you're selling is a commercial. You're moving other people's goods from A to B. So the more goods that you can move from A to B, the more money you're going to generate. So therefore, the pressure is on commercially. Whereas a restricted operator is essentially moving their own goods. So there's less commercial pressure. I'm guessing that would be the only reason I can think of why there would be such a difference, though. I don't know.
Do you know what? That's the best explanation I've ever had.
Well, do you know what? Because I hide my light under a bushel sometimes, but that's because I'm a reasonably successful transport manager trainer.
And once upon a time, Fleet Manager of the Year as well.
Oh, no, I never mentioned that. Yeah. So I can walk the walk as well as talk the talk, because 2016, folks, Fleet Manager of the Year,
Do you know what? I've asked that question about the disparity many times and never had an explanation. So there you have it. And I understand that. That's about the conflict of interest when it comes to maintaining vehicles when you're carrying out work for hire and reward. So yeah, very interesting. But nonetheless, I guess we need to see the financial standing as like a level of security, isn't it, for the TC, demonstrating that operators can meet the requirements.
Yes, level of reassurance.
But are we dealing with potentially a dated system in that now a lot of these vehicles are now on a contract maintenance. What do you think?
There are many cases in law in the road transport sector where the law hasn't kept pace with technology. Mm-hmm. And there's lots and lots of areas where you could evidence that, isn't there? Driver's hours and all sorts of things like that. And I think that's probably one of them. If somebody says, look, the only way I want to buy, I need a 2016 plus vehicle because otherwise I'm never going to get into all these cities and towns that keep cropping up with these low emission zone stuff. So, I'm going to have to buy myself a fairly new vehicle. They're very, very expensive to buy. So the only alternative I've got really is to look at a contract hire agreement, because that will get me the newest possible vehicle for my meagre budget. So then when I go to get a contract hire, I'm going to be tempted by a vehicle that comes with, we used to call it SMR, service maintenance and repair. So I'm not actually going to fork out for the maintenance. It's not going to be me who pays for the maintenance. So therefore, why do I need to? Surely the financial standing is encompassed in that rental agreement or that hire agreement. Is that kind of what you were thinking?
Yeah,
is that why?
Absolutely. So essentially, you've got, if you decide to buy new kit, you've got a warranty for 3 years or a certain amount of mileage. You've got a maintenance contract potentially for the same period of time. So your cash reserves needing to maintain that vehicle. Of course, you may have something that the driver damages, but then you've got insurance for that.
Yeah.
But I suppose sort of the more I think about it, I come across, a lot of insurances now are, I don't know if people are aware of this, but they've often got a misfueling, what's the right terminology?
Clause,
a clause.
Yeah,
So essentially, they won't pay out for misfueling. Now, if a driver decides to put a tank full of AdBlue in the fuel, that's going to cause you some serious fucking problems. When it comes to the fuel system on that vehicle, and I'm hearing of 10 grand plus of repairs because you've got to replace all the fuel system on the vehicles. So I suppose you have the potential for something ridiculous like that to happen. In which case you'd need to then foot the bill regardless of warranty, regardless of maintenance, regardless of insurance. But nonetheless, I just think
it's maybe it hasn't
tricky,
it hasn't really caught up with, or rather, technology's overtook, and the way we do things is overtook the legal side of it. I suppose the Traffic Commission is concerned about your ability to maintain the vehicle, not necessarily in a mechanically sound condition, though that obviously helps, otherwise it's going nowhere, would be in terms of the safety critical stuff like brakes, steering, tyres,
and then
wheels.
I think the other challenge I've got is the big giant companies who have got financial challenges. So for example, your Eddie Stobarts or what have you have had their fair share of challenges and have run thousands of vehicles. Have they got that level of cash in the bank?
It makes you wonder, doesn't it?
Because they can't.
Because they can't have. No, I mean, if they have, and and that's the other strange thing, isn't it? Because if you were, a financial director and the business had that amount of cash, in its working capital, you're going to be asking why. Why? What? What's that cash doing sat there when we could be using that? That could be. But yeah, I mean, the mind boggles. How I was. It's no different. I mean, those of you who follow the podcast will know that I used to work for a local authority. I've done other things as well, but I have worked for a local authority, and of course, applying for an operator's license, although albeit a restricted license. We were no different. We had to supply evidence of financial standing, and I remember speaking to the caseworker and saying, I didn't know how to do it because it was and I went to the account, the accounts department, huge, took a whole floor of the council building. I went to the accounts people up there and I said, look, I need to prove this financial standing evidence. I said, normally from a business point of view, it would be the working capital. So I need a copy of the balance sheet. And they said, well, we don't really have that kind of thing we're a local authority, you know. So I went back to the casework, and it ended up, I said, look, I said their financial statement that they produce every year, which is a publicly accessible document, anybody can see it. I said, it's 194 pages long. Do you still want me to send you it? And they said, oh, yeah. So, you know, it's not just companies that have to prove their financial standing. It's government as well. So you'd have thought they just took our word for it, but no such luck. You know, they were all over it. So
absolutely, yeah. So there you have it. Really, I don't really know sort of what else we can say really, but I think on the one hand, the financial standing it's a double-edged sword. On the one hand, we want to prohibit the wrong people from being able to access operators' licences and running vehicles.
Yeah.
People should have the right level of cash. It's freezing in here, isn't it? I'm going to turn that off. Sorry, the aircon's going, and Mike and I have got aircon walls. I can actually see. I think he's physically shivering. So apologies.
We were
mate.
too hot earlier.
Yeah. It's kind of
famine or feast, isn't it? Yeah.
But yeah, you know, I think we want to prohibit the wrong people, not the wrong people, but we want to ensure there is a barrier to entry.
Yeah,
There's got to be a barrier to entry for people to ensure that road safety is maintained.
Yeah, that's if you think about what the traffic commissioner's job is exactly that, isn't it? To their job is to protect members of the public from the acts or omissions of road transport operators. So and to secure road safety. So the way they are assured of doing that is by making sure that people in the business, in the industry, can afford to maintain their vehicles. But
so I'm glad we've chewed the fat out of it, because do you know what? I started off the podcast thinking, what an old system that's not required. I don't think it's fair on standard operators. And do you know what? I've done a full U-turn and gone, do you know what? Damn right with the financial
You'll
standing.
get a job in the government, if you carry on.
Right? Just call me Liz Truss and put me in the
pinny. What, mini skirt or a mini car?
I don't know, that was massively sexist. I think we're going to need to cut that.
Yeah, cut that.
I don't know what I'm talking about, do I? Anyway, but
There's
look, massive. There's another U-turn anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've got to be careful what I say, haven't I? Yeah, fantastic. Thank you very much.
See you on the next one.
Enjoyed it. See you on the next one.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please share with your friends and colleagues too. Join us for free on Facebook with the Fleet Geeks community for transport and fleet managers. Fleet Geeks offers ongoing professional development, networking and mentoring too. So get in touch with me, Pete Rushmer, on any social media platform to find out more.